All right, everybody. The evening after the night before. Welcome, everybody, as we discuss the '96 Academy Awards and all its shenanigans. Uh, Hello, I am Ashley, your intro person, as ever. And also, as ever, joining me is AJ and Owen.
All
We'll
right.
find out.
Yeah. Speaking, we'll find out. Um. So there's a thing going around lately in the last couple of weeks on social media about a lot of people just abandoning all hope when it comes to YouTube in general, and a lot of people that have been doing this for longer than us are saying their goodbyes. And I guess you can say this is kind of my Matt Pat speech, but not exactly. So here's my reasoning. So I had a long conversation with AJ today, and we discussed a lot of things, a lot of factors. The fact that we've been doing this for over a decade, and no, we're not going anywhere. Don't worry. That's one thing I'll straight up say right off the top. We're not going anywhere, but we're changing things up a little bit. So this was a very successful award season, especially for AJ, and a lot of fantastic movies have come out that we have talked about and not talked about. But at the end of the day, we also have to realize that sometimes it's just not easy to keep a schedule together when life gets in the way. Everyone knows that I like to make the comment 2023 hasn't ended yet, and it truly hasn't. And I will not elaborate any further. There's no reason to talk about it. But eventually 2024 will start, and then things will move on as they should. But because of that, 2023, as you all know, took a lot out of me. And I put the channel on AJ and Ashley's shoulders. And, honestly, everybody really pulled their weight except for me. So I felt really bad about that. And we've been doing this whole gimmick of having a content every single day for over a decade now. And that is where my Matt Pat speech comes in, because as of today, we are ceasing the daily content here on Popcast Network. Now, there's a reason for this. This way, you can get quality content that's going to be able to marinate. That way, you're going to be able to get videos not pushed back just so we can beat a deadline. This is about us getting quality, not quantity. And don't worry, Podcast Movie Club and Q&As and live streams are not going away either. They're just not a guarantee now. They'll be there when necessary, but they're not going to be something you're going to get every single month. Or maybe every other month. It just depends on how things work out. Ashley has plenty of content that he has with his Binding of Isaac series that is specifically for dates. And those will be dated. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of bonus content after the first week of April. Yeah, I'm just going to throw it out that way. On my mom's birthday, April 1st, we are going to return with a full week of content that's going to end with our WGA predictions, which finally ends this award season properly. You're going to see new AJ content, new Ashley content, and yeah, I've done a ton of sipping snacks, and that's going to come your way too. So that's starting on April 1st. After April 7th, after we have that WGA video, we have 3 videos every single week. It's not going to be guaranteed what day they're going to be on. It's not a guarantee who's going to be giving them to you, but I can guarantee you every single week there will be 3 videos after the first week of April. It's anyone's guess what they're going to be. They'll still be promoted on Twitter like I always do. And this way you can check out the decades of content we have on this network that just hasn't been seen yet. Videos that AJ has done, put his blood, sweat, and tears literally into segments that we need to get out there that a lot of you just didn't see. Like, I could talk about concert footage and the various voices, videos, and everything like that, and I'm sure there will be an audience for that because there should be. But Ashley got a plethora of various things as well. Like, he's got his gaming content, which finally found a real audience. And, him playing video games has got a new thing on this network, and it works. So that's going to continue. The gaming content will continue. His snack stashes will continue. AJ's movie reviews will continue. More 2024 movies. Versus will be sporadic, and I would say basically Versus is going to be seasonal now. So you're going to have to wait till the fall for more Versus, unless something pops up. You never know. We got award season kicking off again in August. That's only a few months away. So we're not going away forever. We're going away for a couple weeks to kind of reset everything. To give you guys and girls out there a chance to check out some of the content you might have missed, because there were 14 videos that had to get out at once and nothing got viewed. So I talk about pushing the algorithm, and I'm going to say that now because I feel like that makes sense. But at the end of the day, we're just going to lay back, relax, and enjoy ourselves again. We're not trying to beat a deadline. We're just trying to have some fun. We have our live chat here to push us forward like we always do. And that's going to be what things are going to be from now on. So when you get something more than 3 videos a week, it's a bonus. It's a surprise. And it'll be promoted as such. So that way you won't know it's coming either. So it'll just, again, hit that notification bell. I talk about the algorithm because that's a shoot, 100%. When you see that a video is up, check it out. If you don't want to, you don't have to. We're going to make something for everyone as best as we can. We are a very niche channel. But at the end of the day, we can't do the daily content anymore. I put way too much on everybody and on myself. So now we're going to do 3 videos a week, and you never know what they're going to be. So that starts the second week of April after we give you 1 full week of content, a lot of AJ's movie reviews for that matter. And everything else will just be bonuses, like the Voices videos and the water parks concerts and things like that, various other things. That's going to be bonus content. Ashley's content can be bonus content. If we feel like doing something, we'll put it up for you to check it out. If we don't, again, you got 3 videos, and you got a plethora of various content to check out. So as we end our award season with this video and one more, I just wanted to thank everyone for checking out our daily content for 10 years plus and sticking around with us to see that the best is yet to come. And now that we're a little bit more relaxed, we can have a little bit more fun with everybody. So thank you again. And Ashley, back to you.
All right.
Oh, go ahead, AJ. Sorry, my apologies. Maybe.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Before Ashley continues, I did just want to say that was really good what you said, but I also want to make it clear it might not be as dramatic as it sounds. We're just taking a break for a few weeks. That's all that is.
Yeah. And plus, it the 3 is the minimum. If I feel I want to actually do a plethora of play the algorithm and people are liking Contraband, and I can milk any more out of it, especially because they just added new patch notes to upcoming updates of that thing, which might make the game easier or harder, I don't know. So there might be more to explore there, but yeah, a minimum of 3 from a combination of us. Yep. Probably. Right. So yeah, I'd also like to say thank you for America for changing the clocks, because you nearly screwed me over. Because I was thinking, 7 Eastern, so that's midnight, right? Oh wait, the clocks went forward. It's at 11 o'clock. Panic. And then, of course, my panics were allayed by finding out that whoever it was that were idiots at the nominees luncheon got middle fingered, because Messi the dog was at the ceremony in quite a important moments for quite a few things, especially at the end. Hashtag FUMD. But yeah, all in all, I'd say for the ceremony, we actually had a generally good one.
I agree.
Overall. Oh, there was that much of a delay on AJ's end.
When he starts looking, that's how you know something's up.
Oh no.
I haven't said anything as I or
Neither has Ashley.
was
What?
say was somebody being cued? What was going on?
Yeah.
No, it literally was like stopped for a second. I was like, oh, not again.
No, I generally thought the bar maybe a few of Jimmy's lines in the opening monologue, like not reading the room properly. I'd say the rest of it was like good on point jokes.
No, yeah.
And some pretty cool moments across everything, to be fair.
I don't think it felt like a step down from his monologue last year. The one last year was really smooth. And obviously, like you were saying, this one kind of had those bumps. Like it had the Downey bumps along the way, but I think Downey helped those bumps by reacting the way that he did.
I think the Spielberg stuff was priceless too, at the fact he went along with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of those bits, but then like sort of the bits he did sort of mid-show, like I've changed my jacket so they can't edit me out, and I never bothered to find out whether that was an actual comment from former President Trump on Truth Social, or whether that actually was real. But you know, that did its point, and
to my understanding, that was real.
Great. At least
not surprising.
I was willing it at some point to like be a Matt Damon jibe, you know, and that's who sent the tweet, but no. But that's what happened at the end with Messi instead. And yeah, somebody. I think it was.
I think it actually. I think it does help that moment because if it's.
Go ahead.
We do have a really bad delay, don't we? It a lot that it was real because otherwise it felt like really random and like they were just putting a joke. I didn't realize we were like, was that the point where he was like, we're ahead of time or something?
Partially, but at the same point, I kind of felt that was the plan anyway, because they always listed that Abbott Elementary was supposed to go on in or at about 10:30 Eastern.
Right.
So the fact that the ceremony only went 3 hours 20, I kind of wondered if that was the case, which led to Al Pacino. I swear Al Pacino was like, "Oh, we're running late. I need to do this quickly," and then it led to, "Whoa, we nearly had flashbacks to Moonlight and all that." Dear Lord, can somebody take the bourbon away from Al Pacino, please? For the love of God.
I was really nervous until he started reading the names, and it's like, oh, thank God, it's the actual guard.
He didn't read the names though. That was the thing. We'll get to it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure, like, as everybody was standing, you could hear him saying the names.
No. Well, yeah. The names of the winner, but he was supposed to read through the 10 Best Picture nominees. But instead, he just went, "I'm opening the envelope." So it's like, okay, great, dear Lord. So we open with the first of the four, the Love-ins, as I guess you could call them. Jamie Lee Curtis shouting out, which one was it that she was paired with? I think she was with she paired with Jodie Foster. Regina King was with Danielle Brooks. Rita Moreno was America for. I swear that's the only reason. Because all people remember Rita Moreno for is West Side Story, so it's like America, do it. It makes sense, right?
Wow.
Lupita Nyong'o with Divine Joy Randolph, and Mary Steenburgen with Blunt for some reason. I'm trying to work out the sort of connection.
Yeah, I think Steenburgen like sincerely called her friend. I have no idea how they know each other.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive they've never worked together.
Yeah,
I was trying to do research last night, and I came up Snake Eyes many times.
Yeah, there's nothing directly. I don't think there's any connection with Krasinski either. Off the top of my head, so.
And if AJ doesn't know, then it didn't happen.
At the same time, though, I do question Blunt's dress. Why we had like the Legion of Doom like shoulder holsters on her for her dress, I don't have a clue. And also, when it went to her dress, it just looked like she had Y fronts on. Like, it's an image, and I will applaud it. I don't understand it, but I will applaud it.
I think that's most of fashion. It's like I don't get it, but apparently it's fine.
Apparently it's a thing, so let's go. Unsurprisingly, Davine won and did a very nice little speech, which included, mentioning her publicist because she's been with her since day one, and then not even mentioning the publicist, which Kimmel rightfully went, "You didn't say their name, damn it."
So she said it to the camera.
Was there a reason they attempted to implement a no publicist rule in speech? Was there any reason behind that, or?
I don't know whether it's the whole, stop thanking everybody. You've only got so much time. But then, of course, it's personal to her because it's probably the person she's had since she started, acting however many years ago. It's not like she switched between agencies or anything. She's stuck with that one person from, like, childhood, probably.
I also love that she started a chain reaction with that. Basically, a damn the man sort of chain reaction. I was like, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, stick it to the man. Then we transition to. I wondered why this was a pairing to do with animated, and then I realised it had nothing to do with animated. It's because they're in Furiosa, the Mad Max prequel, and that's why they're there. We're publicising movies that are not out yet, which is a slightly common trend, which we'll get to for the rest of the show. But yeah, we next came with animated short.
Yes.
Which, my first mistake of the night.
The correct answer of War is Over.
For once, the Annies got it right. The Annies matched with the Oscars for a change. And, we had Sean Ono Lennon, like, nearly getting played off, and it's like, no, my mum, who is Yoko Ono, who, might have written a song you might have heard of called Happy Christmas War is Over, is 91. Apparently she shares a birthday with Bad Bunny.
So it's funny because usually shorts are interesting because when you actually take the time to watch them, and some people do, some people don't. Obviously, we did. But the thing is, War is Over is the correct answer here for sure. It's the most bright side of any of the animated ones. Our uniform is kind of there too, somewhat. But it wasn't going to win. It's very, it's just kind of there. So, for once, they didn't go with the doom and gloom. This year, when it came to the shorts, they went with more lively and jovial in all three categories. There's happy moments in all three shorts that won. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that's not something that normally happens. Which I was very happy to see that, because sometimes it's just like, dude, no more. I don't want to see this anymore. It's too uncomfortable. I know that's the point. I get it. But sometimes it's nice to just sit back and just enjoy a nice little quaint short. And of course, that also leads to me and AJ picking War is Over and Ashley going with 95 Senses.
And then they transition straight to animated feature. And one of our misses completely, in that Boy and the Heron did actually get the win over Spider-Man.
I mean, I can't say anything about Robot Dreams yet, or Nimona. And I get raked over the coals for liking Elemental. But, I mean, it was a 2-horse race. Everybody was thinking that was going to be the case. It was like, Spider-Man's going to go all the way. It's fine. That's what everybody's saying. And it did quite well for itself. And at the very end, they're like, nope, we're going to give Miyazaki the award. And he doesn't show up.
Did anybody expect him to?
Probably not.
No, with his age, I wasn't. He might, because they never do like recorded sort of like, they couldn't make it, but here's a video sort of thing. They never do that at the Oscars, as we remember from the almighty Hopkins incident from a few years back, where it was just like, he can't be here, so we'll accept it on his behalf. And then he has to basically do a 6 in the morning UK video just on the beach at his place in Wales, where he's like, I've won! Isn't that amazing?
Something was brought to my attention that actually does make me happy about this. I've talked a lot about how I don't connect to animation much these days. These days being like the last 15 years.
Especially if you know.
But apparently this is the first 2D animation movie to win since Spirited Away.
That sounds right, actually. Yeah.
And that's something I'm always clamoring for. Is I think I'm just sick of the animation. It just feels like it's gotten so almost generic. And it's like every time you see something that's like anything but the typical 3D animation we've been seeing for decades now, it's so refreshing and feels so alive. So that's something I can get behind, is a 2D movie, like a 2D animation movie winning. Even if I'm not like passionate. I don't have anything against The Boy and the Heron, but I'm just not. But
I don't think it's Miyazaki's strongest work, but it's still, a solid film. Then we transitioned for some reason to Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy, who are not plugging any current movie, so I don't know why this was a pairing. Because we need to be reminded of Thunder Force.
Remember Remember when we were talking about the Globes, and I said anytime Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig come out to present together, the first thing I think is, oh, this will take a while. Melissa McCarthy's the same thing. But unfortunately, Melissa McCarthy doesn't typically have the success at banter that Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig do.
No.
Weird as it is for me to say that, being not a Kristen Wiig fan.
The weird thing to me is because it was screenplay, they introduced these sort of in the form of typewriters. So I was just getting flashbacks to the trailer for Can You Ever Forgive Me because I saw Melissa McCarthy with it. Just...
Don't put that evil on us, please.
Well, no, because can we acknowledge Melissa McCarthy was actually in something good, please?
You got to give her something every once in a while, I guess.
So yes, original screenplay did go to Anatomy of a Fall, which means it got its Oscar.
Yes.
Which I guess makes sense as well, because it was technically the director getting it as well.
I mean, I was really, and Ashley knows because we watched it together via this wonderful device I'm filming on right now. This seemed to be a foregone conclusion, but I'm starting to get like vibes right before everything was to be announced. I was like, David Hemmingson could take this real easy. It could like surprise everything. We took all the time to get messy to the Oscars and everything, and everybody loves Anatomy of a Fall because they should, because it is phenomenal, and even better the second time. The thing is, it was always going to be that 2-horse race because Past Lives should be in this, but it never was, unfortunately. I wish I could not be saying that. That's just how it is. I guess you would say 3-horse race. May December wasn't in this at all. Maestro, happy to be nominated. But Justine Triet winning this was fantastic and very much deserved. And I hope that people that did not get a chance to see Anatomy of a Fall get some eyes on it, because it deserves to be viewed.
That's what I was telling you, was what's really nice about Anatomy of a Fall, particularly right now, is there's a lot of movies that go to streaming that are popular for like a weekend.
Right.
And people try to get like really thought-provoking conversation out of it, but it's like just some shitty Netflix movie. Since Anatomy of a Fall hit streaming, it's gotten quite popular, and it is one of those things that you can discuss to no end. So I'm really happy to see Anatomy of a Fall being one of those movies, even if I'm hoping it'll have longevity because it's a better movie than the other examples I was going with, but like it's not like, you know, the Netflix movies that are popular and a talking point for a week. And for some reason it didn't occur to me until Michelle Yeoh said it, how much of a oh my god, what's the word? It just how great Hula's performance is. And look at her in the movie and just not know.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of that was lost.
The fact that the script is written in such a way that it leaves you wondering, you know, because we never actually see anything.
Nope.
So it's completely left in the dark whether, you know, she's innocent or whether she's guilty.
She was asked on the red carpet.
And how rare is it for a movie to be this ambiguous, but still as satisfying as it is anyway when it ends? Like, that's really, yeah.
And watching it again this past weekend, it really made me very confident in my championing of Milo Mikado Grainer being so phenomenal in this movie. I really wish there wasn't this whole thing about young Hollywood not wanting to get nominated for things because people just don't want to go that direction. Because this could have been a year that award that is award worthy and it deserves to even be nominated. And I wish that it could have been.
Yeah, apparently we're reserving that love for the song category. So
Yes, we'll get there. Don't worry. And then we transition to adapted.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
sticking with the director getting their flowers.
As deserved.
Cord Jefferson, who also I think made. I love the fact that they put the camera on Scorsese because of the number that was mentioned. You know, you could make a $200 million movie, camera immediately goes to Scorsese. Or you could make 20 $10 million movies with the same money. Is that why Ridley Scott no-showed? Who knows?
that is, by the way, that is a really good speech.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very much so.
But nobody in that room is going to follow that advice. But it was a great speech anyway. They should. They by all means should listen, but they won't. But it was a good moment for him anyway.
And very deserved, and the big win tonight for American Fiction. But the thing is, look at its competition that it beat. That's insane to think about it. I mean, weirdly enough, the front runner of all front runners was Nolan, but when it came to screenplay, that wasn't a thing. It was always going to be Greta and Baumbach or Tony McNamara, or some people out from outside said Glazer would possibly take it too. But it felt like American Fiction was the one that most people were putting their bets on for quite a while. And they really could have done the double and did Trier and Greta winning screenplay and created a moment if they really wanted to go that way. So that proves that everybody really wanted Cord Jefferson to win, and it's very much deserved.
We have to go back because I forgot to vent about something.
Oh, go ahead.
The transition being, I love that the screenplays got clips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing about doing the thing we did in 2008 where past winners talk about the nominees for acting.
Right.
That's nice. They did it. I think they did it better this time than last time because this time it was a bit more cut down.
It was also personal.
Like it went. The first time they did it, it went on for fucking ever. But I'm sentimental. I like my traditions. I'm really, really annoyed there were no acting clips. I fucking hate when they do not do acting clips. It made me miss 2019 when they did montages, which was also a bad idea, but at least it was some form of a clip that showed you the performance.
So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
just want to make sure I don't want to cut you off.
That was done.
So yeah, if you go in there completely blind to any of the Best Picture nominees, any of the acting nominees, and you have these grand speeches about how great so and so is, and then you have no context because you've never seen the movie, that kind of just defeats the purpose now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they were looking at the wrong Oscar year from previous time instead of the right one. So, AJ, you definitely have a point to be made for sure.
That's the Oscar thing. Like, the Oscar clip is a big part of its thing.
Yeah. What's the Oscar clip going to be? When you watch a movie, you wonder what their Oscar clip is going to be. There was no wondering. There was no clips.
Was this where we had the first musical performance or not, Owen?
I hate the way this is worded because I can't find the version of anything. I think it might have been. Because it doesn't give me an order of anything.
Yeah.
Because why would it? Yeah, this would be Billy and Phineas.
Who did, I mean, quite an emotional one because it's like they had to cut away, like at the end of the performance. Like Billy actually got choked up for whatever reason.
It was. I've never really had an opinion one way or the other about Billie Eilish. That was really fucking good.
Yeah.
That's the way you perform an Oscar-winning song.
For sure. And then we transition to September, where we have Beetlejuice cast members, Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara, getting us to a couple of the techs, where we begin kind of unsurprisingly, considering what at least they're probably going to have to be under a lot of in the Beetlejuice sequel, and that is makeup and hair, which did go to Poor Things. I got a point.
Yeah.
I like that they thanked Willem Dafoe for his patience. It reminded me of when Men in Black won, and they basically thanked Vincent D'Onofrio for not losing his mind while they worked.
What I kind of loved, though, is I know it's supposed to be about hair, but the video montage was Helen Mirren is Golda. The video montage for Maestro was Bradley Cooper is Leonard. Oppenheimer was Blunt and Murphy are Kitty and not Kitty Oppenheimer. Then Poor Things was like, oh, here's, Bella's hair. Oh, we might as well stick in some Willem Dafoe getting prosthetics on. And then we get to Society of the Snow, which is just makeup on the actor, that's, stuck in the Andes or whatever. As if to show, here's the only one that's actually showcasing hair. I wonder what win.
So they finally did what I've been trying to get them to do forever. Like, give the win to something that puts over both, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
Not just both. This is what I've been asking for years. Like, if you're going to do a category combining them, then it has to be both. It can't just be one or the other. It's got to be both. And I immediately realized when we, again, getting ahead of ourselves, did the triple for Poor Things, that I would not be having a good night when it came to predictions, because I felt like this was when the downturn started. Because going for Maestro, even though AJ and I both did, it makes me feel good knowing that anything that the Academy went with that we didn't as a collective, watch the video back, you can see that we talked about it being a possibility. There were no surprises tonight, if you really think from that perspective. And you mentioned D'Onofrio and Men in Black. As somebody that has gotten makeup before, because of obviously things I like to do out in fog during the fall months to take me away from this channel, I will say it is sometimes very nerve-wracking just to sit here patiently still while they work on you. So I could see how anybody that does makeup is somebody that they really have to be good at their craft, because you can tick someone off real quick, 100%. And that's without bringing in prosthetics or bringing in anything like that. So, yeah, it can be quite taxing. So, yeah, if you can make it through, it illuminates your performance. So there's a justification for this category, but it took forever to finally get one that gets both instead of just one. it's still justified. Excuse me. Production design's up next.
Which also went to Poor Things.
Yep.
Turns out I didn't know it's actually got a
This?
local connection because one of the two production designers is local to me. So
Oh, huh.
I was able to rewatch Poor Things this week.
Nice.
Would I be out of line to say this might be one of the best wins in this category? Like, if not ever, in a very long time.
yeah, I don't want to say ever, but certainly within the last 20 years or so.
Definitely justified for sure.
I need to correct something I said in the prediction video.
Oh,
Okay.
We were talking about whenever you see a sky or a background, about it being a green screen. And Owen made the comment, these scenes look like paintings. For some reason, before we did the prediction video, I didn't look further into that. I think I got so convinced, oh, that must be a green screen, I just ran with it.
Sure.
And forgot to actually look into it. And well, it makes sense, Owen, why they look like paintings. Yeah.
I'll bring it up now, considering
So
it
they're
regards
basically
production design of the Oscars. But when we had Best Director, which you're here for the review, you know who won. But after they presented the award and Nola made his speech, I noticed the Oscar statuette that was behind them had like a giant white line around it, as if somebody went into Photoshop and, on a thing like the Oscars, made the worst kind of cutting out of the image and stuck it on like the back of the thing and was like, yeah, that's good, that'll get us an Emmy. No, it won't. On the same show, when we have lavish, paintings that are actually backgrounds for, people, unaliving themselves. That's the wording I have to use without getting demonetized.
Yeah. That's a correct statement.
Anyway, mini rant over.
So the next one was a really fun part of the show that I enjoyed greatly. And Twitter's very split with it right now, honestly. They don't have fun, apparently. So the bit basically was with Jimmy wanted to do a bit with John Cena. And Cena came out naked with the actual envelope covering his cash and prizes, if you will. Needless to say, hey, I saw Dane Cook live this year. There you go. The thing is, this is something Cena's already done before. He did it on Total Divas, actually. So this has happened before. So this was funny the way they did it. One of the best moments of the night when it comes to sheer talked about moments was, of course, this other well-deserved win for Poor Things. Like I said, completing the triple. And I like the way they did it.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yes.
I also just need to shout out Cena's comedic delivery is perfect.
He's fantastic.
Well, no, let's set the scene because I may have a bit set up.
Nice.
Yeah, we have the call back to 1973, I think it was. And
David Niven stuff.
David Niven is presenting for, I think it's one of the techs. I don't know whether it was costume. That would have been ironic. And it was like, oh, wouldn't it be weird if that happened again? So I'm like, okay, we're obviously going to have some sort of plant here. And then,
And his name is John Cena!
just peeking his head out from like behind the staging thing. And I'm like, wait. I mean, this is one way to try and make people watch Ricky Stenicki, but okay. Then again, all I've heard of Ricky Stenicki is the best bit is Cena. So
he has an OnlyFans, Ashley.
Well, no, it's like he was the only comedic thing in a comedy. Which goes to show you how far Zac Efron's fell since not being comedic in the Iron Claw. He's too serious now.
Nothing wrong.
But yeah, he like comes out with that. That's the most unique envelope of the night because it legit had to be there because I have verifiable words from people that he was butt-ass naked behind the thing. He wasn't, with like budgie smugglers or anything, like trying to hide it.
He had gimmicks on, Ashley. I don't want to break kayfabe for you, but that's somebody went in and posted a picture of him getting changed into the pink dress after when it went dark.
When it was dark, they put it on him. But I think he was pretty much naked underneath it.
He had like a loincloth basically over top. That's basically all he had. That's what I saw in the picture.
But yeah, presenting the award to Poor Things. Holly being a relative newbie in costume design, at least lead stuff. Managing to beat sort of veterans like Jacqueline Deran and Jacqueline West and Janty Yates. It's fair play to her, good job. Which I kind of, having what you said on the prediction stuff, AJ, I think you might be right in that they wanted to go with the originality of like some of the modern Prometheus style outfits for Poor Things as opposed to the adaptations of classic Barbie outfits. But yeah.
And speaking of that, this category, and Ashley can vouch for this, was what put AJ over the top for the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm. Which nearly wasn't, because Owen was under the impression that you said Barbie. I had to literally go in the middle of a ceremony back to the video from last week and go, no, he said Poor Things.
And I said, damn
I'm glad.
And then I stopped.
I made it a point, too, that this was the biggest headache of a category, so I'm actually quite proud it was this one that is the one that put me over to win.
The one thing I also remember is I saw afterwards of the fact, which might be something to keep in mind for future years, is like the last 3 or 4 winners of either Best Makeup and Hair or Best Costume have won Best Actress.
Interesting.
It seems like, those parts of the Academy are very matey with each other because they seem to match up most of the time. At least in recent years. We then had
international feature. But do we have a song first?
Yeah, I felt this was when they had because throughout the night they did intros to the 10 movies for Best Picture, and this is where they had the Killers of the Flower Moon thing. I think I might not be exactly accurate, but
there's no list anywhere, sadly, so that doesn't help.
This then fell into Scott George and the Osage Singers doing a Song for My People.
Yep.
Which was brilliant.
Oh yeah, it looked great.
Again, the sort of framing of having the sort of circle and everybody banging the drum and the sort of traditional Native American sort of dancing around them as if it was like a fire. It was like very well put together. Which then, yeah, we transition to. Oh yeah, that's the other bit we need to mention. Bloody John Cena shaking hands with Dwayne the Dwayneson backstage when he's just in a curtain.
And I'm going to thank AJ indirectly for putting out in the lexicon of the fact that David Allen Greer needs more work. So they put him to work to let him be the guy who did all the interviews behind the scenes at the Oscars this year.
Oh,
I approve.
I need to say something else.
Go ahead.
I can't tell when I'm here. Okay. It's getting really bad. It's getting worse as we go, unfortunately. But you brought up Dwayne, and Dwayne dropped an exclusive bomb on the red carpet.
Of course,
that it was a rumor for a bit, but he confirmed that Blunt is his co-star in the Benny Safdie MMA movie, and that's a lot behind. So I just need to point out that I'm psyched about that since Dwayne just came up.
Well, I guess the Christmas film or whatever he's doing is probably in post-production now, ahead of, I'm guessing, a November release, because that's when they usually try and come out, so that they're there for a while. So yeah, international feature. Unsurprisingly, with the list that we had, went to Zone of Interest. And a very touching moment in basically Glazer and his producers regretting being Jewish because of what's going on currently with the war with Israel and Palestine, which was kind of a ballsy, statement, but obviously it's their personal opinion. And sort of, I mean, the only direct reference to that, I would say, throughout the entire night directly, obviously a few of the Anatomy of a Fall people had badges, as did the Zone of Interest people, which showed support, for Palestine and everything with the issues that they're going through right now. And I guess it's fair, it comes from a film that subject matter is very, I don't want to say akin to what's happening right now, but there are certain similarities with what's happening.
I will say,
go ahead.
I will say Billy did the same thing.
Oh,
Billy had a ceasefire button on when she was performing too. If you want to bring that up,
a fair few of them had ceasefire buttons,
right?
But basically not, not try and stand on the Palestinian side. It was more, just general, war is over if you want it. Which is why weren't they wearing them? Also, can we make sure that Bad Bunny knows how to say the name of the film? Because we nearly had it's like bloody Swedish film. Like, I'd have thought he'd have tried to, he could have, researched like how to say him properly, rather than having to like, Dwayne, help me, I'm suffering here, help. How do I say Zune?
He literally just stood back behind you. He was like, "You're on your own, brother. Let's go."
Well, considering how now he's got a stake in TKO, we know who isn't showing up at WrestleMania 40. Bad Bunny's off the list. And then we come to another moment that might have split opinion slightly. The the playground fight between Barbie and Oppenheimer, between Blunt and Blunt and Gosling, because of the Fall Guy stuff, which then led into the fact that it was like, we praise the stunt community. You want an award though? Bye bye. You know, you have to wait until 2026.
Yeah, I feel that was like testing the waters to see if a stunt category would something that people would be interested in. And I think by the reaction it got, at least the video package, I feel that it's something that's happening in the next 5 years, if it takes that long. We're getting a casting award next year, so I mean, there you go.
Which was brought up in the speech.
I did
as well. Go ahead, AJ.
There was a part of me that wondered if Blunt was going to get caught up in controversy for saying out loud that Barbie was getting its ass kicked this award season. But then but then you realize it's banter back and forth. It's like, oh, okay, I guess. But it is funny to hear it said out loud. Barbie's not having a good award season, is it?
Then again, how many films that have been number one in the box office that year have actually been a big winner at the box office? Or sorry, at the Oscars? Not.
That's fair assessment.
Barely any.
Yeah.
Maybe Mad Max was the only one that got close, and most of that was just text. So.
Back in the day, it feels like in the 90s, it felt like box office movies were more likely to go that direction, but we've really hit a... I'm not quite sure where the turning point was. Was it kind of the start of the Weinstein Awards era that we started going for less high-grossing movies?
Possible.
I'm trying to think back to... I want to say late 90s. Seems to, like, fit. Yeah. Probably was Weinstein, because Titanic was Titanic in 97, so that probably fits. But the year after, Saving Private Ryan lost to Shakespeare in Love. I guess you had Gladiator that year, which was one of the highest grossing things at that time.
Yeah.
And probably the big one that comes to mind off the top of my head was obviously the final Lord of the Rings film. Winning. You know, that was probably the last major blockbuster one, I would argue.
Yeah.
Up until Oppenheimer this year, even though it wasn't the best-selling film of the year like Return of the King probably was. Hang on, let's verify. Yes, it very much was. It was the only one that took $1 billion that year, so yes. So this is when we transition to supporting actor, where we had Ke Kwan championing Sterling K. Brown for some reason. I don't know whether it's because they're both in Marvel films. Oh, sorry, Marvel franchises, because Kwan would have been in Loki, and obviously Sterling had his little bit in Black Panther 1. Then I want to say Tim Robbins is probably paired with De Niro because of like Tribeca, because a lot of stuff would have been Tribeca, because I think Mystic River was a Tribeca premiere, wasn't it? I know that wasn't directly that was a Clint film rather than Robbins, but...
The connection's still there.
Yeah. Because that was Robbins' supporting win, right? Yeah, that does fit.
Yeah.
Although I do feel that, Tim Robbins may not have long in this world, given in his speech he did say, how Robert De Niro has won the Oscar for his performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. When everyone was like, it's probably not, though. What a flub. We had Sam Rockwell, of course, repping Downey. Little did I know we were going to get an Iron Man 2 connection at the Oscars. Christoph Waltz championing Ryan Gosling because they are not father and son on Twitter.
Yep. That is the correct statement.
And Mahershala Ali for probably because of the Marvel connection again for Ruffalo in terms of Hulk and Blade. Maybe, I don't know. But unsurprisingly, Downey wins. Thanks his rotten childhood and the Academy in that order. Once again, praises the veterinarian, wife, Susan, for sort of basically, saving himself. And yeah, generally just a typical cool speech from Downey Jr., as you'd expect.
Was I imagining things, or did he thank Blunt twice?
Yes, he said. It was it was weird. It was like her name was Emily Matt Damon Cillian Murphy Blunt. That was like, it's a long name. And we now know what Emily's middle names are.
And then easily the best thing about the entire show.
Well, no, I want to put it because I feel again we've missed something.
Would this be Becky G then?
No, this is the John Batiste performance. It never went away.
Ah, yes, it'd be John Batiste first. Yes,
from American Symphony, which was a good performance and all it needed to be. On the piano, John Batiste being John Batiste. Mwah.
Shout out Dan Wilson for helping write the song.
So yeah, we then transition to our only real proper reunion of a night, I guess we can call it, that isn't trying to promote films that are coming out this year.
Because they've killed this movie, apparently.
And that was DeVito and Schwarzenegger.
My God, this was awesome.
Doing their stuff and like, hey, we both took on Batman and lost. And it was like, what? I was Mr. Freeze. What happened with you, Arnie? Oh, he took out of one thing I love. Heat, love. Oh, he threw me out a window. And then it's like, wait.
Actually,
go ahead. Oh. Wait for the freeze.
We're waiting for
it. The ironic. Go ahead, AJ.
That's not true either.
Well, I was gonna say technically he didn't throw him out of a window. He had bats throw him into a window.
Yep.
But then, of course, it follows up with, "Hey, he's in the front row. You have a goal to show up." And then, like, Keaton is just into it, like, seeing how cool he was. I wish we saw Batgirl to see how cool he actually was. For the love of fuck. God damn it, Warner Brothers. You twats. Which is ironic, because we'll get to that. And then it's just, Keaton just being sort of Batman, like, focusing. And then just the little subtle, bring it.
They bring it on. Oh, man, that was awesome.
Which then transitions us over to visual effects. And another fuck you to Warner Brothers. Yeah, it wasn't your Godzilla film that got the first Godzilla Oscar. It was the Japanese one from Studio Toho. Yes.
See, the thing is, when we do these predictions, you kind of tend to root for two things: who you want to win, and who's going to pad your lineup. Who's going to get you the points to try to win the contest. Sometimes I pay more attention to the second one than the first. And yes, it is pretty freaking amazing for Godzilla to win. But I immediately got sad because I'm like, well, I wanted to win this season. It's not happening. But they were wearing shoes, which was really cool too. Everybody wearing the Godzilla shoes.
I'm just trying to double check. Because from what they showed with, like, the sort of footage showing the workings of it, it did feel like Godzilla was like Monsters. Gareth Edwards' film from 2010. It's like, this just seems to be a lot of stuff done with CGI, very well layered and put together, done on a relatively smaller budget, compared to God knows how much money that was thrown at all the other four combined.
And again, can we get I want an argument for this. After watching it in black and white, can we get the next one in black and white, please? Please.
I also did like the jokes everyone was doing of Godzilla +1 Oscar. But yeah, very nice to see that. They nearly tried to play him off, and it's like, dear God, let Japan have their moment, for God's sake. Little engine that could.
Everybody trying to convince me the creator was going to win, so I'm like, okay, fine, you're probably right. No, you weren't. Maybe I won't make that mistake so quickly next year.
I wonder whether this will make some of those VFX guilds actually pay more attention, though, to foreign stuff.
I'd say so.
Because I honestly think that's the reason why it never made it in the Visual Effects Society Awards, is because, it was an international film, so it wasn't warranting of being included in the list. Which I think was the only reason that Godzilla had a chance, because it was the underdog from the start. Because all the studios were like, oh, it's definitely us. If Godzilla -1 hadn't been included here, it probably would have been creator, hands down.
I'd say so.
But you gave them the option of, acknowledging it and making history, so it happened. And speaking of history, this is where it began.
Yep.
Properly, the tidal wave, if you will. Editing going to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
As soon as that fell into place, it was like, well, that's one part of the puzzle. Which, again, we all predicted correctly, at least on that one. We then had the Barbie stuff. The Barbie people do documentary stuff. So, documentary short went to Last Repair Shop.
The correct answer.
Yeah, it's a really good short.
Yeah, ABC's of book banning was the one that was hanging over my head as I was trying to doubt myself, thinking that this wouldn't be the correct answer and they wouldn't go with something so uplifting. But they did. So that was awesome. But not uplifting would be documentary feature.
Yeah, 20 Days of Mariupol winning. The director rightfully saying, like, you know, this is Ukraine's first Oscar. And at the same time, I wish I never made the film. I would trade this Oscar to the Russian government just to stop everything.
That has. Am I here?
Here.
That has to be an all-time quote in Oscar speech history, I think.
Yeah, the fact that
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, you know, the line, like, you know, this is the first time you're probably going to hear somebody say, "I didn't want to win this." But kind of makes sense considering what he had to film to put into the movie to make it get the award. God knows how much, you know, bleak and sort of stuff to even try and find a glimmer of hope out of all of it is kind of incredible in that respect. But yeah, that was very well done. Then randomly we have Michi. Zendaya is Michi. This time not dressing like she was from the man who The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1960, with whatever outfit that was she was wearing at the Dune 2 premiere. And it was another Oppenheimer win. For Hoyte van Hoytema.
As we said, as we were saying in the prediction video, Hoyte van Hoytema is on his way to being like one of the most sought after cinematographers working now.
He's taken over Roger Deakins' role as he's probably going to do anything that Nolan or Mendes or any of the other British directors or Villeneuve. It's like he's just going to do work with them and nobody else.
That might sound like overkill, but honestly, yeah, a successor to Deakins is the first thing that I kind of thought of when we were talking about that.
Still find it crazy as well. Technically, he was a cinematographer for the Call of Duty game that came out like 2-3 years ago. Not just movies, like doing video games. Like, what the hell? What's happened? I think after this we had, or somewhere in this region, we had Becky G's performance of Fire Inside from Flaming Hot.
Yes.
Of which the only person that stood up afterwards is Diane Warren. I can't imagine why. Because it just... When she did it in the 80s, it sounded right because it just feels like right for the time and whatever. When you have 80s written sounding songs in 2024 for a movie that may or may not be about the alleged history of Cheetos, at this rate, can we just have her do the Pop-Tart one as well that's supposed to be coming out on Netflix? Because it seems, it's inevitable to get an Oscar win if that's okay, or an Oscar nomination. Oh shit, I did a Tim Robbins. It was winning ahead of... Oh no. Diane motherfucking Warren is sending a horse's head in my bed. Yada! I mean, yeah, it was an okay performance, but at the same time, like, it's sometimes with Diane's songs they feel like they actually do belong, on the Oscar stage. This one kind of didn't. I think even MTV Teen Choice would go, yeah, no.
It felt like it was for the bit as far as nominating her again.
Yeah. Then we had Issa Rae and Rami Youssef do Best Live Action Short. The interesting one, of course, because it's the only one that we actually went with different Pixar. One thing I do want to point out is if you watch it, when they reveal the nominations, try not looking. Because as soon as they showed the clip of the after...
Yes.
Where it's like, you put the twist in the thing in the bloody 5-second clip. There's other seconds of that thing, but no, you just put the... Dear Lord.
To be fair, they didn't spoil Red, White, and Blue.
Yeah.
All they had to do was show one of the many clips of David Oyelowo driving.
Or crying in his taxi.
That's very out of order, but yeah, they don't have to know anything. So yeah, if you want to go into it blind, do not watch the actual, or you probably already did anyway. You probably blew the spot before you returned. So doesn't matter.
It's a little late.
That is a gut punch when it happens and you see it for the first time.
Speaking of a gut punch, though, because I thought this had already happened, but that was Wes Anderson's first Oscar.
Yes, it was.
We have that and Godzilla.
And as much as I love The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and it deserves to win, there was a reason to believe that any of the five could have won, especially with this category, since all of the live action shorts are so good this year.
Uh-huh.
I was very apprehensive that going with Wes Anderson was a safe bet. I never once thought that was the case at all. Yet I see some people that predicting, and they were thinking that it was more of a certainty. And, especially when it comes to this category, being a name is not necessarily the greatest thing you could have in these categories, like AJ mentioned before. But luckily, this is the point that I got that put me right back in contention for second place.
So then we had John Mulaney, who I thought was here to introduce the governor's stuff. And they show a little montage of that. No, he's here to present sound, and in doing so, probably piss off people at Sony. With the immortal line, if we didn't have sound, we wouldn't have had great lines like he was in the Amazon with my mum when she was researching spiders right before she died. Which doesn't even feature in the movie outright anyway. So I guess it wasn't that good enough to... I guess the sound was bad. I don't know.
Can I also just shout out? I've made it known in the past that I'm a massive John Mulaney fan, and if there's anybody that could pull off making just saying an entire synopsis of Field of Dreams into a bit that works, there's very, very few who could pull that off.
And as I say, follow up something like Field of Dreams with Madame Web. Going from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Good God.
This is Field of Dreams. There's Madame Web. It's that far away. It's off camera. And yeah, best sound going to Zone of Interest. As soon as I saw the clip where it was basically just like nothing, it was just like natural like sound rather than anything that sounded normal. Like even with Oppenheimer, the stomping of the feet shouldn't sound normal, but it did compared to just ambient noise in Zone of Interest.
AJ said, and it rings true, and because I've seen a lot of people post about it after the fact, that the Zone of Interest sound is a character in itself, and I really
And that was,
God,
but it's usually a cliche to say that, but I can't. It's hard to think of a more fitting instance to use that.
I feel that I just made a mistake, clearly, because all of us did, because we all had the same thought process about the Zone of Interest being a legitimate contender to win, but it's like, oh, okay, when in doubt, click Oppenheimer. This was one of those occasions that we shouldn't have. And I'm not a fan of the Zone of Interest, but I will say that sound is one of its strong sets for sure.
Speaking of sound,
Yes.
we then come to the final musical performance of the night, at least in terms of presenting the best song contenders. And the Gentlemen Prefer Blondes homage that I never knew I needed.
Yes.
Including Lucille Ball Barbie heads. And Simu Liu, Scott Evans, Kingsley Benadir, and Nakuti Gata are reprising their roles to just be backing dancers, along with random appearances from Slash and Wolfgang Van Halen, pulling the stops out. And we even had like sing-along lyrics on the screen for the audience as well. Like
They Barbie sing along with, and everybody was going nuts for it.
Which also may have been the reason why Emma Stone's dress broke. So
It was. She even said so.
no, Ken did it again. Then damn it.
I got my La La Land reunion, and that's what broke the dress.
She confirmed in the press room also that is genuinely what happened. It was during I'm Just Kidding.
Yep.
That's when it popped.
See, the great thing is it starts out just so innocently. If you don't know what's coming, it's great because just to watch someone that doesn't know this song at all, just what they're about to witness, and just visualize exactly what's going to happen. And then he starts singing behind Greta and Margot, and she is having the worst case of the giggles in the history of ever. And it just makes it better because all he does is just keep pushing forward.
What I find was interesting is that and the Osage singers, I don't think got introductions.
No, they didn't.
Because I feel it just transitions straight into like Gosling and his pink glove on Margot's shoulder, going straight into it.
I mean, everyone knew that when we heard that this was actually going to be a thing, that we were going to get the actual performance of I'm Just Ken at the Oscars, it was going to be the one that was going to tear the house down, and it did not disappoint one iota. It was never going to win, but that wasn't the point. The point was just showing the Kenergy, and it was amazing.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, because he never performed City of Stars at the Oscars.
Mm-mm.
Back in 2017. So this was Gosling's like first chance to perform on like a big stage, and I'm sort of like, does this mean we can get more from him soon?
He's a superstar. He has so much stage presence. It's not even funny.
The Disney Club did it again.
Of course. Like it should.
Yeah, fair. And this sort of neatly transitions into Wicked. I mean,
Yes.
Arrivo and Grande presenting out the music things. Unsurprisingly, score went to Oppenheimer.
Yep.
It does make me wonder what Ludwig is up to next. We'll find out somewhere down the line. And then it got an Oscar, which is more than
Yes,
can be
it
said
did.
of some films. But Barbie is an Oscar-winning film. Put it on the boxes. Is officially a thing. Okay, isn't as listed as anything because what's Garanson's up to coming up. But so be it.
It's crazy to think that if you cut out Natu Natu, which of course breaks up the monotony of 3 years, they've won 2 out of the 3 years for Best Original Song. It's unbelievable to think about. And they're just going to get better.
Only the 4th and 5th people, I believe, to have won 2 Oscars before they're aged 30.
That is a correct statement.
As well. I believe we then transitioned to actor. Because I think the In Memoriam was a little bit later.
Yeah, actors next.
So yeah, we had Brendan Fraser repping Giamatti. I'm trying to work out if that's like a Looney Tunes or Big Little Liar or some sort of combo. Or something. Nicolas Cage. Oh, sorry. Wait. It was Brendan Fraser with Jeffrey Wright, wasn't it? It was Giamatti with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Because Nicolas Cage did the whole line of, he had contact lenses that made him go blind. Would I have done it? Hell yeah, I would. And so did Paul Giamatti. Like,
So good.
Between Cage's delivery and Giamatti's reaction, I think that was my favorite moment of the night, or one of them at least.
McConaughey and Bradley
When
Cooper.
Nicolas Cage shows up for like,
yeah, just whenever Nicolas Cage shows up, it's like you need to pay attention. Something may happen, and it did. Yeah, but McConaughey repping Bradley Cooper. Ben Kingsley repping Cillian Murphy. What happened there? That's a biggie. And then the Butler reunion that we never knew we needed. Forrest Whitaker and Common Domingo. And unsurprisingly, Best Actor did go to Cillian Murphy.
I mean, Giamatti was never out of it.
No.
It's definitely second place for sure, to say the least. We'll never know these things, but I always am curious on how close it literally was between first and second place. Especially here. And especially with the next category we'll talk about and after we get to director.
Yeah, with director. As soon as it was like here to present Steven Spielberg, it's like we know what's happening.
Yes.
We know what's coming. And there's a reason why that hug went for probably 4 seconds too long. Especially on the, I wouldn't say the anniversary to the day, but the 30th anniversary of, I think, Spielberg's first director win for Schindler's.
They mentioned Schindler's by name
Mm-hmm.
when they brought it to the stage.
When they went backstage and went to commercial, you actually had the clip. They'd already edited in the clip of Nolan giving his speech, and then, like, between an Oscar statue was the clip of Spielberg and his acceptance speech from Schindler's 30 years before. So, symbolism. But yeah, Nolan did get to speak, and of course he thanked the hell out of Universal,
As he should.
and did not thank Warner Brothers.
Again, as he should.
Then we had.
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm not gonna try to quote it directly while I'm having all these technical problems, but just that last line of Nolan's speech, I really, really loved.
Yeah, Nolan, was very. It also makes sense because obviously you do want to praise the cinemas and whatever, because I mean, I think that's one thing that Hoyter brought up. Like, imagine if you have to do cinematography on actual film, not just digital. So we acknowledge that for sure. I think at that point they then transitioned into the, in or around that region, the In Memoriam segment.
Mm-hmm.
And that hard cut to bloody Navalny. Wow. I mean, having watched the documentary the week after his passing and seeing it at the end anyway was powerful, but literally hard cutting to it at the very start, that's even more symbolic.
I've said a lot before that I'm not particularly critical of award shows, because this one especially is like once a year, and I'm gonna love it whether it wants me to or not.
Yeah,
sure.
But I really have to just say something, and then I'll let you guys run with it if that's okay.
That's fine.
Once they showed the Navalny clip and then it went into the rest, that memoriam was an absolute fucking shit show. How many did we actually see? They weren't even focusing on the They weren't even focusing on the memoriam itself. We didn't even see a lot of it.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? And what the fuck was ending with a wall of names that nobody can read?
Given some of the names that are on that list of the wall of names, I don't understand.
52 made it in either picture or audio or both form. Of which I kind of... They went with it in the bedroom scene for Tom Wilkinson, which kind of surprised me.
But it's like I think they were still showing people when we cut to the singers. So there were people in the memoriam that you don't know were in the memoriam.
Yeah, they were sort of slightly in the background. Yeah.
That's the disadvantage with using recognizable names to do the In Memoriam every year. It should be more focused on the names and not necessarily the performers.
Yeah, just show us the goddamn montage.
Yeah.
Just show the goddamn montage. That's your only job.
I'm seeing names that are on this also passed away this year list that basically states that some of these names should have been above some of the names that got name dropped.
Yeah, Terrence Davis
the only
for his
one,
career.
The only one I saw was Cormac McCarthy. All the others were a white blur. You couldn't see them.
I didn't even notice that Barry Humphrey was there of all things. It's like, I don't know how much he did for movies.
Tommy Smothers,
to
Suzanne
some
Summer.
extent, Norman Lear as well. Like,
Norman Lear, like,
why didn't
one of the
you?
kings of
You know,
television.
that'd be fitting for the Emmys, but Lear didn't do that much for movies. His wheelhouse was predominantly sitcoms and everything, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he really did that much, at least in terms of movie stuff.
It's just, if you're gonna do this every year, you need to have a uniform way to do it, where you promote what you're promoting, the in memoriam of the ones that passed for the year, and you don't necessarily have to have a recognizable name playing them off, because then people focus on the performer and they're not focusing on what's the real point of the in memoriam segment.
That was a baffling choice to me. That was a fucking disaster, honestly.
We ended on
like I said, I try not to be too. We've actually had quite a few shitty memoriams recently. We had the 2020 one that they fast forwarded through.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had the one where they were going for like a celebration of life kind of thing, but ended up being more of a let's have an upbeat dance number to the in memoriam, and that didn't really work out that way. Just make it, the memoriam has to be like, make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Just have somebody sing while we watch the fucking montage.
And the most I find it amazing again that they also acknowledge Cormac McCarthy, because the only screenplay he did was The Blooming Counselor. That memorable Ridley Scott, whatever it was. And
I mean, he did basically write a Best Picture winner, since the Coen brothers basically copy and pasted No Country for Old Men's book, but still.
And I don't remember Sinead O'Connor getting any Oscar nominations or anything for doing like film songs.
Definitely
but
not.
She was in there. And then the big one, thanks to Wikipedia for apparently, although it does say citation needed, so who knows. Supposedly one of the images that they used for Osvaldo Desideri was of the wrong person. They got the wrong person that worked on set decoration, production design for The Last Emperor. You had 5 jobs. And the Oscars sort of... I found it interesting as well that, like, considering how it's I want to say predominantly American audience that's probably going to watch it to some extent. The last audio we heard was Glenda Jackson. They had the picture of Tina Turner, but the audio was Glenda Jackson. Like, okay. Kind of random, but there we go. And the Bocellis did a good job, but again, it's sort of like, they didn't really sort of, they respectfully introduced Hannah Waddingham at the BAFTAs one. And, they had pauses in the song to, like, show the clips and whatever, which they did briefly for a little bit in this one, but it was predominantly like, well, when they're singing, we're just going to flash up God knows how many pictures and not give them any time. So then we had the issue of the Best Actress deal. Sally Field for some reason introducing Emma Stone.
That's a Spider-Man connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I didn't think about that. Then Jennifer Lawrence repping Lily Gladstone, which I guess is, whatever she was doing. Michelle Yeoh with Sandra Huller, again bringing up that line of, it's amazing how I got to the end and I still didn't know whether she did it or not. Charlize Theron with Annette Bening. Which was kind of left field. And then just as left field, Jessica Lange with Carey Mulligan. Some of this really didn't fit. But then the win went to Emma Stone, who was in shock as you'd expect. Depending what happens with Yorgos and Her's next film, who knows whether she might be getting back-to-back Best Actress nods. Yet alone wins. We'll see how that goes.
When we were talking earlier, before we were doing this, I gave Owen a whole speech about how I felt about what went down here. I don't think there's any way I can give you that whole speech without there being a technical difficulty. Owen, do you remember what I said?
Oh, dear God. No.
So, give it a try.
I mean,
See what happens.
If you start, maybe I can remember some things.
The fact that everybody really unfairly put a lot on Lily Gladstone's shoulders.
Yes.
Because if Lily Gladstone had only just been the star of a Martin Scorsese movie, I think she would have been absolutely thrilled. Then she gets pulled into award season and everybody puts on her, you're going to be the first Native American woman nominated, you're going to be the first Native American woman to win. And you're representing everybody. You're representing all of your people. Basically saying you better not fucking lose.
Yep.
When whether she wins or loses is completely out of her control.
And what happens the day after? I have seen Variety, the audacity of Variety, to go, well, she should have gone in supporting, otherwise she'd have won then. Like, okay, not the time or the place, you idiots.
And it's like, if they didn't build, literally when you watch the red carpet on ABC, they cut to a commercial break with a dramatic, stay tuned, will Lily Gladstone be the first Native American woman?
Yeah.
And it's like if nobody had built it up, like, just make it like, if she wins, it's like, oh, by the way, she's the first, and it's like, oh, that's awesome, that's history in the making. But it's like, to put, am I still here?
Yeah, you're good. You're going fine.
You guys looked really still. I panicked.
No, because I know where you're coming from now.
So yeah, so if she were to lose to Emma Stone, it'd be like, oh, well, we were split on SAG and BAFTA. Makes sense, one of us was going to win, one of us was going to lose. Yeah, I'm going to clap for her. That's great. Now, she did look happy and clap, but because of something that she wasn't really building up herself, she had to have felt like shit. And I just feel like that's really unfair to her, when it could have just been she could have left that night going, hey, I got all the way here. That's fucking awesome. A way she doesn't need. When when she accomplished something so great and then is, yeah.
She got her all of her flowers just by getting that role. She didn't necessarily have to guarantee that she was going to win by everybody trying to riz her up, thinking that she was going to win everything. If you wanted her to win, you would have
Like
voted.
I said, I think
There was a narrative there.
yeah, I
and
think
it sucks because it's not her fault.
and I think like I was saying, I think she would have been perfectly content walking away from that movie going, "Holy shit, I was in that."
Yeah, of course.
And if that had been it, she would have been perfectly content with that, I think. And she would have, like I said, she would have been perfectly content just getting nominated and losing to Emma Stone, and that would have been that.
And it's not like
But I really hated how she must have felt because of the narrative everybody built for her and what she was in quotes supposed to be.
right.
I just didn't like how that probably made her feel in a way that it wasn't necessary yet, because probably gonna Kills of the Flower Moon just by itself without any awards buzz, she's gonna have a fine career, and she's probably going to eventually get there.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
They were literally advertising
when
like a
they
Hulu
yeah
series
when they
that
showed
she's in
that Under
now.
the Bridge trailer for the Hulu series, that looked promising. Little did I know she's not. Well, she's listed in the main cast, but she's like really far down the cast. Izzy G is ahead of her.
Yeah, it's like I get the significance, but to act like you know she's gonna win and put that on her is really unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Stallone winning for Creed.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mother was saying, Stallone's got this, Stallone's got this, Stallone's got this. Even Golden Globes called the spot too. And it was not to be. That was not the award season. And this sucks for Emma Stone too, because now she has to have in the back of her mind, like, well, I won. I deserve this. Or maybe you think I deserve this. Obviously, I do. I worked really hard on this role, and it was a very demanding performance that deserves all the love in the world, because it does. But I beat your favorite. I beat the one that everybody was going to say was going to make history. That sucks. Because that's discounting Emma Stone's performance too.
I'm sure a lot of it was the shock, but there was a split second where Emma Stone looked like she didn't want to get up.
100%. 100%.
And then we transition to.
And it's like I know this is a.
Finish off your point.
It's like I know this is like the perils of award season, and we see it all the time. But I mean, and just in this particular case, it just really rubbed me the wrong way that they really. I just felt really bad for her because of what they put on her shoulders.
Yeah, the optics of the situation was not as good as it should have been, to be sure.
For sure.
And then we come to whatever the hell Best Picture became. You know, Michelle Pfeiffer went missing in action again 2 years after she either got COVID or didn't get COVID, and so she didn't want to give an award to Jeff Bridges. So it was Al Pacino alone who was like, you've seen the 10 nominees. And I open the envelope, and behold, it says Oppenheimer. And everyone's like, did Oppenheimer win? Or is he just having a fever dream?
The answer is yes on both.
And then Oppenheimer, eventually got its thing. But yeah, the entire thing where he was supposed to list out all 10 films got completely ignored, which means because of them not winning anything, Past Lives got shit on because of Al Pacino. Killers of the Flower Moon got shit on by Al Pacino. Maestro got shit on by Al Pacino. Thank fuck the other 7 won stuff, otherwise there'd be even more people pissed at bloody Al Pacino.
No, I was looking forward to 2 things. Number 1, that Oppenheimer was about to win, and number 2, that him and Nolan are an Insomnia reunion.
Yeah.
Which honestly was always my favorite Nolan movie before Oppenheimer. And yeah, it was a little confusing. I think that's just what the problem was. It was just a little bit confusing.
And what was the best touch? He gave the Oscar to Emma Thomas, and the assistant gave the Oscar to Nolan. So you didn't even get your Insomnia reunion. It was the assistant that had the reunion.
It was the Bumble Ward effect, AJ.
He's off his tits. God damn it. That makes Michael J. Fox's speech look impressive.
And are we also just going to point out how very interesting it is to hear the James Woods' name in an acceptance speech at the Oscars in 2024?
From out of nowhere. Well done,
Charles
Roven.
Not that it's not without merit, because apparently he did play a pretty significant part in the movie getting made. So it's like, it's not reason. It was just, I found it interesting.
I like the fact though it was just about, this is the 5th film I've done with him. So it's like, right, so you did 3 Batman films with him, and from what I can tell, that's it. So I'm trying to work out because he said it was the 5th film, right? Roven produced the Dark Knight trilogy, but then nothing else.
Was he not on the Prestige?
It's not listed. I'm confused. He is the guy that gave us all the Scooby-Doo films, though, and Get Smart's Bruce and Lloyd Out of Control.
I love it. It's really funny. I asked you if you had something to do with the Prestige. I have that piece of the standee of the Prestige that literally has the Prestige's credits on it, but it's over there, so I can't see. Nice. I could actually tell you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are we gonna end this as abruptly as Al Pacino did?
No, because we then transition into what I never actually got the chance to see, because of course all the feeds got cut off. The Abbott Elementary episode afterwards, because I nearly didn't recognize him because he wasn't waving his arms about in Ely Cathedral. The Oscar cameo in Abbott Elementary was Bradley Cooper.
That's not.
Which is kind of from out of nowhere. Especially because apparently there is a line in the bit where it was like, somebody asks him about, the Oscars and, what it was like working with Christopher Nolan. And he goes, I'm not in Oppenheimer. And I know it was one of the kids or one of the teachers going, are you sure? Because, everybody was in Oppenheimer. So,
accurate.
So yeah, that happens. That was the big surprise reveal thing from it. But yeah, now to the chat because we've got a lot of things that you guys have said before we get to the actual like results as to what happened. Josie says congrats to Nolan and his wife Emma Thomas, hot power couple. Bryce says I'm just Ken. That's all I've got to say. Josie says how they're producing partners similar to Denis Villeneuve and his wife Tanya Lapointe. It's going to sound weird, but Jonathan Glazer is hot. Sounds weird. Yeah. Spencer goes, yay, Emma Stone and Sound of Zone. That's the weirdest Zone of Interest and Sound of Metal merger I've ever heard. So ecstatic over Poor Things being a 4-time Oscar-winning film. So happy for the VFX team. Personal Oscars: Best Restaurant, Fallen Leaves. Best Bathroom, Perfect Days. Best Glasses go to Benny Safdie's in Oppenheimer. Best Environmental Awareness, Suzume. The Food Award goes to The Taste of Things. Best Train, All of Us Strangers. Best Boat, Poor Things. Even better than the boat in Past Lives. Dear Lord.
That's crazy.
Best car, Michael Fassbender's Car and the Killer. The New York Award for Past Lives. The best line of the year, Next Time is Next Time, Now is Now from Perfect Days.
Not a bad line.
For best song, Suzume and Song for My People as a tie. For editing, I don't know whether that means Anatomy of a Fall was her winner or Godzilla -1 was. I'm not sure. But she also had All of Us Strangers, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Killer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Teachers Lounge, and Zone of Interest. I'll get back to that. Bry says top 5 biggest losers of this year's Oscars. Number 5, Neil Corbold, who was nominated 3 times and still lost. Number 4, Annette Bening, because hashtag Annette Bening never wins. Number 3, Diane motherfucking Warren, because hashtag Diane motherfucking Warren never wins. Number 2, Bradley Cooper, insert joke here. And then number 1, Killers of the Flower Moon, becoming the 3rd Scorsese film to get 10 nominations and not get a single one.
God, that's ridiculous.
Relating to that, that's where Oppenheimer makes history. Oppenheimer is the first film to have not played at a film festival and got Best Picture since The Departed back in 2006.
Greatly appropriate given the circumstances.
Josie has...
It's a Matt Damon thing, that's what it is.
Nice. Tell that to Jimmy Kimmel.
So judging from that, I think Josie had
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Fall was the editing winner for her list, looking at what comes next. Josie's best sound is Zone of Interest winning over Boy and the Heron, Godzilla -1, The Killer, and Oppenheimer. For best score, she goes with Boy and the Heron. The other nominees being All of Us Stranger, Godzilla, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Suzume, and Zone of Interest. For costumes, she goes with Poor Things over Asteroid City, Iron Claw. Oh, somebody acknowledged it. Thank God. Killers of the Flower Moon, Polite Society, Priscilla and the Taste of Things. Josie also goes with Poor Things for production design, beating out Asteroid City, Beau is Afraid, Godzilla -1, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Taste of Things, and Zone of Interest. Taste of Things gets cinematography for Josie's list, beating out All of Us Strangers, Beau is Afraid, Godzilla -1, The Killer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Perfect Days, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest. For supporting actress, she goes with Patti LuPone for Beau is Afraid. beating out Sakura Ando for Godzilla -1, Blunt for Oppenheimer, Minami Hanabe for Godzilla -1, Claire Foy for All of Us Strangers, Sandra Huller for Zone of Interest, Catherine Hunter for Poor Things, Rachel McAdams for Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, Julianne Moore for May December, and Jade Myers for Killers of the Flower Moon. For supporting actor, she goes with, unsurprisingly, Milo Mercado Grainer, beating for if I remember, Anatomy of a Fall, beating out Jamie Bell for All of Us Strangers, Defoe for Poor Things, Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Holt McCanley for Iron Claw, Charles Melton for May December, Robert Pattinson for The Boy and the Heron, Ruffalo for Poor Things, Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers, and Rami Youssef for Poor Things. In her adapted list, she goes with Poor Things over All of Us Strangers, American Fiction, Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, Godzilla -1, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Spider-Verse, Taste of Things, and Zone of Interest. For original, I don't see a winner listed here.
Yep, I don't either.
The ones she lists are Anatomy of a Fall, Asteroid City, Beau is Afraid, Boy and the Heron, Fallen Leaves, Fremont, The Holdovers, Perfect Day, Suzume, and Teacher's Lounge. For supporting actress, Sandra Huller for lead actress, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall wins over Leonie Benesch for Teacher's Lounge, Juliette Binoche for Taste of Things, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Natalie Portman for May December, Alma Poisty for Fallen Leaves, Kylie Spaney for Priscilla, Emma Stone for Poor Things, and Anaita Warzada for Fremont. In Best Actor, she goes with Koji Yakushuyo for Perfect Days, beating out Zac Efron for Iron Claw, Christian Friedel for Zone of Interest, Giamatti for The Holdovers, Benoit Magamel for Taste of Things, Killian for Oppenheimer, Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid, Kamiki Ranosuke for Godzilla -1, Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers, and Jussi Vatunen for Fallen Leaves. On acting ensemble, Josie goes with Godzilla -1, with the other nominees being Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, Asteroid City, Boy and the Heron, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Iron Claw, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Polite Society, and Poor Things. For director, she goes with Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest, beating out Ari Aster for Beau is Afraid, Tran Hung for Taste of Things, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Miyazaki for Boy and the Heron, Nolan for Oppenheimer, Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Makoto Shinaki for Poor Things. That seems wrong. Something's happened there. Trie for Anatomy of a Fall, and Takashi Yamazaki for Godzilla -1.
We did confusion. Is there two directors for? Is Yorgos have a co-director for Poor Things?
I'm just double checking. No, Makoto Shinaki
I'm
directed Suzume.
I'm assuming it's
Shinkai directed Suzume. I think that's
it's
what.
okay.
And then Josie's Best Picture is Poor Things, and her 15, aside from that, include All of Us Strangers, Anatomy of a Fall, Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, Asteroid City, Beau is Afraid, Boy and the Heron, Fallen Leaves, Godzilla -1, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Perfect Days, Suzume, The Taste of Things, and The Zone of Interest. Kinds of Kindness, Yorgos the Celeb film, is supposed to be eyeing a premiere at Cannes possibly this year. I guess we'll find that out in the next month or so, because they're going to have to, if that's happening in May, they're going to have to reveal within the next month what's coming up for that. Bri cannot wait to see what Guillermo did at the Oscars, which we'll see tonight on tonight's Jimmy Kimmel. Although I do like the fact that he basically made Charlize Theron say, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
And
I
he's
can
like,
vouch.
my love, my wife, Charlize Theron. Super happy for Killian, says Josie. My mum said that Ariana Grande's dress looked like a cupcake. Fair play.
That's accurate.
Oh, Bry said it might have been a throwback to Olivier. Well, considering he was going to quote Shakespeare, maybe the spirit of Olivier possessed him on opening the Best Picture envelope without reading the nominees when Amadeus got Best Picture. Parsnip, don't worry, don't matter that you're late as long as you're in. Bry randomly says, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That's a reference to something, but, it's a long night. Parsnip got 86% accuracy, missing animated film, sound, actress, and makeup. Which I guess mathematically means... AJ, you must have been somewhere around the 80 mark, I would have thought. Getting 18 out of 23. That being said, myself and Owen were only on 17, so I feel that's the highest scores we've had on Oscars night in the history of doing this. I don't think we've missed... I think we might have had like 15s or 16s, but not like into like we've got 3/4 of them, right? So, yeah, Bryce says The Boy and the Heron becomes the second hand-drawn and non-English film to get animated, and also gives Toshio Suzuki his first Oscar, being a long-time Ghibli producer. So I guess Suzuki never produced Spirited Away. So Lord and Miller, that's what you get for badly treating your animators in all of your movies. It'd be interesting if that's what it is, because of how shitty they shat on them, leading to the sequel not even being anywhere near ready. Parsnip said, who is raking you over the coals, Owen? AJ, stop that nonsense. Did we already do original screenplay? Yes, but thank you, Parsnip, for reminding me. We'll get to that in a minute when I get to your comments. Josie said some MST 3K riffs I wrote for Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things. Oppenheimer, when they show the Universal logo, they could say, are they going to blow up the Universal logo? Cillian Murphy stars in Harry Potter and the Curse of the Atomic Bomb. When Kitty's in the corner of the office with the Jason Clarke interrogation is held, can the parent-teacher conference be done already? I have a doctor's appointment at 4. Atomic Fitness with Albert Einstein. When Safdie puts the zinc on his face. Lifeguard on duty. When Blunt's character says, I don't like your phrasing. How dare you send my son to the principal's office? He's an honor student and president of the physics club. When Jason Clarke yells, geez, say it, not spray it. And then at the end, they blew up Universal Studios after all. So yeah, Parsnip reminds me of the other thing that I completely forgot. The favourite moment other than the Ken song was Anatomy of a Fall getting announced as winning, and apparently the appropriate music to play for them to go up on stage was an orchestral version of PIMP.
Yes, as it should be.
What the hell?
That is the only.
I mean, honestly, though,
played.
I was gonna say, honestly, though, what else would you have played?
Nothing.
Leah Hatzakis.
I'm reading this in real time. I'm really ready to say
Leah
this.
Hatzakis. I don't know what the hell happened here. I feel we've just entered the Twilight Zone with this comment. Prepare yourself, AJ.
Oh, God.
Bad Bunny and John Cena were so sexy, I would have had both if I was there, one after the other. I leaked seriously.
She does not like this. Close your ears. And actually take a shot. She had to come out here in this circumstance. It just made sense.
Right. Ow! Why did I do that? Oh, wait. Right, Killers of the Flower Moon riff. That will take my mind off it. When Molly tells Ernest in the car, you talk too much. I'm giving you a 1-star rating on Uber. When Ernest reads through the Osage history book and says, can you find the walls in this picture? Leapfrog, Leo learns to read. You just called me a coyote, didn't you? I sure did. Coyote ugly. At the wedding. Next, I suppose you want to go square dancing with Patrick. When the owl appears in front of Molly's mother. Martin Scorsese's Harry Potter and the Curse of the Flower Moon. When the oil explodes from the pipes. I guess the raw bison liver that Leo ate in The Revenant gave him diarrhea. I love money. I love it just as much as I love my wife. Would those dollars be under 25? Yeah, let's bring up the SpongeBob quote again. Yay. When Leo gets spanked, you've been a bad boy. Now go into the kiddie corner with a dunce cap. When the owl appears in front of Molly, Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting.
Bry says basically most of the time if your film wins TIFF, you've got a strong chance to get screenplay at the Oscars. That's what it's established, I guess, now. The trend continues.
Very true.
How many licks does it take? How many licks does it take to get the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The white man will never know. And then some Poor Things riffs. The opening blankets. The Good Housekeeping blanket catalogue. When Bella's first in the surgery room. Next on 6 Feet Under. When Bella kills the frog. Now I've got a frog to dissect for my science project. The weird hybrid animals in Baxter's laboratory. We now know who Sid from Toy Story's medical school instructor was. When Defoe's character burps out bubbles. The new Willem Dafoe burping bubble machine. Fun for the whole family. Or maybe something like, I think I saw that on a Pepto-Bismol commercial. Bry says not seeing any acting clips is going to make me more blind for my movie marathon. That's the only positive I think we can take from it, Bry. The rest of it is like, no. We should have seen acting clips. I wanted, when Bradley Cooper was there, I wanted him to be, like all that. Just the Ely Cathedral stuff. When Bella leaves with Duncan and Max and is left with Godwin, congratulations, buddy. You're in the friend zone of interest. When Bella leaves with Duncan, Max says, if a girl brought back from the dead won't go out with me, what does that say about me and my chances of ever getting laid? Do you think the audience saw a scene and nude when the camera was off him as Kimmel put a dress on him? Maybe, if they were at the right angle. But I think they purposefully lighted it so you couldn't really.
He had a nude-colored loincloth covering everything, so no one would have ever seen anything, but I see where you're coming from.
When in Lisbon, Portugal, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Sunglasses Hut. When walking Euro Disney's Galaxy's Edge, opening in 2025.
If anyone still gives it, if you know, you know.
On the cruise, this film from Searchlight is brought to you by Disney Cruise Line.
Where's the bingo?
When they do the experiment, the other girl, Felicity, and she gets hit by the basketball. I didn't make the WNBA.
You leave Margaret Qualley's name out of your mouth.
When Bella's in med school with a fellow prostitute. Matilda the sequel, medical school. And when Bella leaves Duncan, cue Evanescence's Call Me When You're Sober. Oh, and we have our next accusation of bloody Oscars being wrong. It's now noted that Holdovers was apparently plagiarized. Whee! It's happened again. When Duncan screams Bella. That was the failed audition tape for Streetcar Named Desire. You couldn't say Stella Warren. Alfie's character. I have my rights. Second Amendment, 1776.
What is it, gold member?
And then I think aside from, I think that's all the riffs done. Between Edward Berger's Conclave, the Sundance Audience Award winner, DD, and Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. What do you think will be Focus's biggest push for the 24/5 season? My guess is Nosferatu, because we haven't had a good horror film. I mean, clearly people like horror, because Poor Things has elements of, it's basically some sort of Frankenstein thing, so. Are we looking forward to Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis? Probably.
He lost his touch a really long time ago. I don't know. I honestly don't even know what I expected it to be.
True. That's fair. Bryce says, I'd rather wish it was Damon instead of Cena to continue the rivalry with the nudity, I guess. Bryce says that it was Niven was hosting and was about to introduce Elizabeth Taylor, who was going to present Best Picture, so it was right at the night. Parsnip finally watched Teacher's Lounge and was disappointed it didn't have more love because disappointed it didn't have more love because I loved it. You bait switching me on your comments, Parsnip, damn it.
Parsnip, we're all under the same thought process in that AJ, and I loved it too.
And Parsnip also says, I still don't know if the person we think is the thief. Anatomy of a Fold.
Yes.
I mean, who the fuck else is it gonna be?
Yeah, he's got a point.
That mom was fucking unhinged. And so is her goddamn kid, who should have been thrown off the bridge too.
Agreed.
I blame Lyndon B. Johnson. Anyway, my mum said the Academy should have provided the VFX person with a translator. She felt bad for him struggling without anyone helping him. Yeah, but then again, they didn't try and play him off because of the thing, so. Does anybody else love a fried egg sandwich? The only problem is that they can be messy when the yolk breaks. Oh, go ahead.
In the press room, he had an interpreter.
Yeah, does anyone else love a fried egg sandwich? The only problem is that they can be messy because when the yolk breaks, it drips on the plate or your blouse. That must be a quote from something, right?
I don't eat eggs, Josie. Like, shoot.
If that's a real question, I hate egg sandwiches. They're the bane of my existence. That's a long story.
I don't like sandwiches either, for that matter. I don't eat bread fairly often either, but I thought that's been pretty well documented in 10 years. Maybe not.
So what you're telling me is you are on the outskirts of the Venn diagram, and I'm right in the middle.
I require food. That's my response to you right now.
Josie's mum said that Glazer's speech was her favourite. Rami Youssef's been very vocal about the ceasefire issue on Instagram. Fall Guys having its premiere tonight at South by Southwest.
Interesting.
And Perry Nemiroff is apparently there if anybody's interested in her schedule. Okay. One of the things that is happening at South by Southwest, because I heard a lot of music acts were pulling out because South by Southwest is sponsored by the US Army, and that's their response to the military issues happening in the Middle East right now. Was Shakespeare in Love and the English Patient box office movies, or even American Beauty? I'm sure Braveheart and Titanic were, and maybe Schindler's List. I mean, Shakespeare in Love did well, but it wasn't the same. English Patient possibly would have been the bigger one that year.
Back to our conversation from a little while ago.
A Beautiful Mind was not. Unforgiven, Silence of the Lambs, and Dances with Wolves blockbusters. I'd say Dances with Wolves was a blockbuster just because of it being nearly 4 hours. Because at the time that did feel like it fit the blockbuster tone. If you needed that's why people like The Hateful Eight so much, because at certain screenings they actually had a 20-minute intermission in the middle of.
Still aggravating to see that movie the proper way.
The people winning Godzilla -1 with Godzilla figures reminds me of when the March of the Penguins people had penguin plushies. Yeah. Forgot about that. After the last repair shop one, I will say never bet against Ben Proudfoot. Mel's Bell says everyone's audio is good except the one in the top left with glasses. I have to turn my speakers all the way up. Plus, you have an accent. Could you enunciate better or turn it your speaker? Maybe. I'll ASMR this shit for the rest of the thing.
Oh no.
I saw Flaming Hot on Hulu. I was surprised it was a good film. The Ken song should have won over the other one. I think if the vote was held in the auditorium, they would have voted for Ken. I mean, that was the way it was presented, to be fair. Bry says the fire inside is not as bad as Applause was last year. Yeah. Parsnip says I didn't mind Fire Inside either. I'm just not a fan of Billie Eilish. To me, a good song is something you put on Spotify and on your phone and listening to. I wouldn't listen to that myself, but I would with I'm Just Ken. Having that, I wouldn't have Fire Inside on the playlist either. And then Bry says, you know, Billie Eilish is overrated. And Parsnip agrees. What reunions you want to see at next year's ceremony? Well, something probably to do with Pulp Fiction.
That would be nice.
We actually just did a Pulp Fiction one a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true.
They did Best Actor, didn't they?
That sounds right.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I'm trying to think of other sort of...
You know, the very uncontroversial Best Actor.
Because Mel Gibson might be persona non grata. Maybe Hanks does Best Picture? That's, of course, if we do reunions, because they didn't really do one apart from the Twins one. After how many reunions we've had over the last few years, where it's been like multiple ones, the fact that we had technically 2 retro reunions, one of which is happening anyway because of the Beetlejuice sequel, so... Bryce says, I love how both the Song for My People and I'm Just Ken needed no introduction. That's what they should do with all the nominated songs. Cassie popped in for a peek in.
Hi, Cassie.
It's ironic we didn't see Diane Warren upset losing to them again. They skipped Norman Jewison for the In Memoriam. I mean, they didn't skip. They had it on the picture, but they really didn't focus on it a lot, despite his plethora of work. Barbie only wins Oscar. That's what you get. News media, Golden Globes, and Critics' Choice for thinking it was going to go big. Nope. Just everyone or ABC's favourite category song. Parsnip says to Josie, in terms of reunions, maybe a Jewel of the Nile reunion or a Clueless reunion, Pretty Woman, Back to the Future. Back to the Future would be interesting because I feel, and not to, speak ill, even though I kind of already did earlier about Michael J. Fox to some extent. I don't know how long we've got left with Michael, so I'd like to see it at least on an Oscar stage.
Like Ashley just said that, I was basically going to say do it while you can.
Yeah. And also regarding, the In Memoriam stuff, Parsnip says, why we have dancers? It isn't time for a dancer. Just have a singer off screen or music without dancing. Also, the thing, Parsnip says, well, Tom Wilkinson was nominated for In the Bedroom, so it made sense to show that scene, and since it was Oscars, they focused on things that pertain to that. Did Tina Turner get an Oscar for Thunderdome? I guess it might have been nominated for song for We Don't Need Another Hero, right? I think. Now I've got to think back. Oh, Josie asks you, AJ, who would Plankton work better with science-wise? Godwin, Baxter, or Oppenheimer?
I don't think Baxter's gonna this bullshit. I think Oppenheimer would be more inclined to try to work with him. So I guess it'd be Oppenheimer.
Oh, and it looks as if Tina Turner didn't win any awards. Oh no, wait, there's the accolades. Awards and nominations. Yeah, there's nothing with the Oscars at all. So why they showed her is a bit weird. I guess just because she was in films like, you know, Matthew Perry was in films. I don't know. It's sad we don't have a big tribute to somebody in the ceremony, the last one being the John Hughes tribute back in 2010. Oh, Leah's back. I'm still leaking thinking about Cena and Bad Bunny. Speaking of hot mean who make me leak, Taylor Zachar Perez was there looking hot.
What?
Parsnip
Nope.
Parsnip says Glenda Jackson won for Touch of Class. Yeah, I think that was the clip because it's not one that I recognise directly off the top of my head. Parsnip says Lily Gladstone won Best Actress at the Gotham Independent Awards for The Unknown Country. I have the Blu-ray and she would have probably won for that. Bryce says kind of similar to why Carey Mulligan didn't win 3 years ago for the category, and now with Gladstone, if you're a major Best Actress frontrunner, if you get snubbed by BAFTA but win other awards, maybe. You know, some actors never win Oscars though. Will Glenn Close and Annette Bening ever win? But Billie Eilish has 2. Lauren Bacall never won, but Billie Eilish has 2.
Yes, she does.
Lily Gladstone might not have another chance. I hope it's not true, but how long does it take for a Native American actress to get nominated, especially after the years of abuse to them in film? And Parsnip says, just ask Brando and Sasheen Littlefeather. Also brings up that Al Pacino just has a child. Put it away, man. Cher, Sandra Bullock, and Julia Roberts have Oscars. I'd rescind all of them in place of Glenn Close, Annette Bening, and Lily Gladstone. After the nomination, I said if there were 5 for picture, it'd be the 5 at the BAFTAs. Now combining the nomination results, Bry is going to switch the holdovers with American Fiction in the top 5, along with Killers of the Flower Moon, Anatomy of a Fall, Poor Things, and Oppenheimer.
That sounds right.
Based on the screenplay win. Yeah, Bry got 16, Parsnip got 19. Mel's Bells. Apparently the guy in black doesn't like chat comments because he looks bored. Nice way to treat people. Dear Lord. It's probably called Not Much of Us Have Had Very Much Sleep. But we put a show for you, so we'd like you to be considerate to us.
I shoot, haven't eaten all day.
Yeah.
That's not even a joke at all.
Oh, Parsnip standing up for you, AJ. That's not true, Mel's. AJ is great. Kinds of Kindness, an anthology film. Yeah, that intrigues me as well with a Lanthimos project. Parsnip favourites were Teacher's Lounge, Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest, American Fiction, Air, and the number 1, of course, Naiad. The Christmas comment was for War Is Over. That was the Merry Christmas. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I saw a reviewer angry that War is Over chose to ask for birthday wishes for Yoko instead of using that time to actually talk about the issues of wars in the world. I mean, the guy before him did by saying, wouldn't it be better if we had like a peaceful world? If you say it too many times, people won't care. They'll just think it's, clickbait. Oh, they're jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, everybody hates war. Miyazaki was the only nod for Spirited Away, despite the other producers that could have got him. I could say Ellen Burstyn next year for the 50th anniversary of her Oscar win. Yeah, but then we have to remember she was an Exorcist believer. Dear Lord, I hope she got a lot of money for that. And Shadow Creek randomly waving and saying hey. So, and oh, and Parsnip with the comment right at the end. No one mentioned Trump joke at the end, by the way. I mean, we did reference it before you were here, like in the early part when we talked about Kimmel's general performance. But yeah, because at first we were like, is this like a stage thing, or? And then we realized no, that's what Trump actually did on True Social. So, and of course the dog peeing on Matt Damon's star. Yes, fulfilling the trend. So all in all, in terms of the prediction game, it is technically not over, even though it probably is. Because Owen's on 92, AJ's on 93, and I'm on 95. And I doubt I'm going to make 2 or 3 different predictions to AJ in terms of the WGAs. I might. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that in a matter of weeks. Because as previously mentioned, that'll be coming up in or around, April the 7th, the week before the ceremony itself, probably?
Yep, April 7th. That Sunday at 6 o'clock.
That's when we'll do our brief WGA stuff, and I guess we'll do some sort of, chat with you guys relating to it. Some movie talk. Hell, by then we might have some of the lineup for Cannes, and we can get hyped for that, possibly. We'll see. Parsnip says, damn, I want Owen to win.
I wanted that too, but my prediction game was not very strong this year.
Although I will say it's the first time all 3 of us have got above 90. And, I'm on I nearly got to the verge of having 100. And that would have been the first time I think any of us broke 3 figures. Well, there might have been one where either AJ or myself had 102. I can't remember. I'll have to look back in the spreadsheets. But yes, that is your lot for us. There's plenty of other stuff for you to catch up on the archive. Be it AJ's movie reviews and versus my Sip and Snacks Snack Stashes and Gaming with Ashes, Owen Sip and Snacks and Voices of Liberty content, Halloween Horror Nights hangouts, because I want to say the letter H a lot.
7 hours. Backgroundnoise.com.
Pretty much.
But very funny content too.
So yeah, you'll be getting content from us, at least from me. There's going to be a few that I need to catch up on with old videos, and there's a couple of Isaac runs coming up for the rest of March that I will be putting up as sort of, I guess, bonus stuff, as in just me trying to go through and playing them all, so there's some sort of archive of me doing them. But the videos themselves properly, for one last week, will be starting April 1st. as we build to. I guess that'll be what, roughly marking the. That'll be the final month of the 10th anniversary year, I guess.
Yeah, because May 1st, of course, is the anniversary of the channel.
Mm-hmm. Which means we will be getting to rent at some point in the very near future. Also, I wanted to mention, I think they just revealed the viewing figures for the Oscars, and it was in the region of about 19.4 million. So I think the highest viewership they've had since the pandemic. So I guess it did its job. So, yeah. Find me on Twitter/X at Ash is my name UK. Owen can be found at Sir Owen Disney. And the Popcast Network feed is there as well for you if you check out and everything. AJ cannot be found on social media. And just like Keith Richards, was also wondering whether he can borrow what Al Pacino was smoking. With that being said, thanks for everybody for watching and listening. And until next time, everybody. Messi the dog is clapping. Yeah!